Hello dear students. Today we will study English syllables, the most interesting, adventurous and thrilling lesson, that is 1.6 Into the Wild. It is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. In part 1 we will study one wildlife traveler, that is Mr. Kiran Purandare, his journey towards Nagazira jungle and Ambizara forest, where he spent alone 400 days. It was really dangerous and life threatening also. So, all these things, dangerous and life threatening experiences, and even the accidents, what it had happened with him that he faced, that he had all present in the part 1. In the part 2, we will study one very famous wildlife photographer, Charles Jung, who shares his life of jungles and especially his encounter with big cats like leopard, black panther, tiger, cheetah, all full information that he had presented in the part 2. So, we will learn all the unknown, unsaid, untold facts of his jungle story that we are going to know. In this chapter 1.6 Into the Wild, we will learn to love for nature and wildlife adventure also. We will also learn to accept the challenges in life and how to solve problems which comes in our day by seeing these two important people, that is Kiran Pundare and Charles Jung, who presented their perspective towards life even in the adverse situation, staying in the forest or jungle. So, let's see what we are going to do today, which is presented in this slide properly. Firstly, we will do introduction of part 1 and part 2. Secondly, we will do about the writer and the chapter. Thirdly, we are going to see summary of part 1 Into the Wild. Next, we are going to see line by line explanation of the chapter Into the Wild part 1. And lastly, we are going to see margin questions of part 1. So basically, we are going to focus in this lecture part 1 of 1.6 Into the Wild. But before focusing on part 1, let's move on to the introduction of both the parts, that is part 1 and part 2. Introduction of the chapter 1.6 Into the Wild. Students, this chapter is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is Lost in the Jungle and the part 2 is Tracking the Panther of Nagahole. In part 1, we are going to study an excerpt meaning passage of amazing, passage मतलब एक छोटा सा passage एक book से लिया है, of a amazing wildlife experience faced by Mr. Kiran Purandare, who is a lone traveler of this jungle who spent somewhere around 400 days in Nagazira and Ambizara jungle. Ambizara jungle is filled with uncountable wild animals like leopard, tiger, lion, sloth bear. In this jungle, traveling alone is very dangerous, but Kiran Purandare stayed there for 400 days and worked deeply on it. After that, he had written one book, and the name of the book is Sakha Nagazira. उम्बरजरा जंगल से काफ़ी दूर एक छोटा सा गांव है और उसका नाम है पित्तजारी। किरण जी रोज़ सुबह से शाम होने से पहले तक उम्बरजरा के जंगलों में अपना टाइम स्पेंड करते थे और जैसे शाम होने लगती खाना पानी और सोने के लिए पितेजारी विलेज में वापस लौट आ जाते। वन डे किरण जी लॉस्ट हिज वे and it was a evening time, and soon there was a night and he lost his way in that jungle. उम्बसरा के जंगल में जैसे ही वो लॉस्ट हो गए, it was a very terrible experience faced by Kiran ji, because in that jungle there is a different types of animals. Alarm calls Kiran Pundare had listened, had heard by the animals. मतलब एनिमल्स डिफरेंट टाइप्स के वॉइस निकाल रहे थे उस जंगल में, जिसको देख के किरण जी को लगा कि कोई एनिमल स्पेशली लायन और टाइगर इज कमिंग इन हिज वे. एंड द मोस्ट फ्राइटनिंग इफेक्ट was when he heard the voice of leopard entering into the jungle. This incident he tried to put forth in this part 1, that is Lost in the Jungle, where we are going to study कैसे किरण पुरंदरे जी भटके हुए रास्ते से बच के पितेजरी विलेज में फाइनली पहुंच पाए. ये पूरा इंसिडेंट कैसे उन्होंने अपना लॉस्ट वे को क्लियर किया और वे अपने विलेज में रात को वापस आ गए, दैट इज पितेजारी. इस स्टोरी को he had present in the part 1 Lost in the Jungle. So let's see the part 2. Part 2 name is Tracking the Panther of Nagarhole. Here Shahaz Jung is a wildlife great photographer, cinematographer and a big cat tracker, and he really worked on a man and animal conflict, especially human being is having lots of problem with the wildlife, with the jungles, with the wild animals. In order to create a good friendship between man and animal, this person, that is Shahaz Jung, had played a very important role. He was working in the jungles of Nagarhole. वहाँ पे उसने फोटोग्राफी किया. वही नहीं, उन्होंने अफ्रीका में भी बहुत सारी फोटोग्राफी की है, स्पेशली क्लिकिंग द पिक्चर्स ऑफ दीज एनिमल्स, स्पेशली वाइल्ड एनिमल्स. बट इंडिया में नागरहोल पार्क में जाके ही हैड रियली वर्कड हार्ड to get the pictures of this wildlife. Shahaz, who has been known for documenting big cats, in a wildlife photographer and a filmmaker for National Geographic. आप नेशनल जोग्राफिक पे जो वाइल्ड एनिमल्स के पिक्चर्स देखते हो लाइव, शाहज ने फर्स्टली आप इन आवर कंट्री इंडिया ही हैड वर्कड हार्ड टू मेक्स अस realize how the panthers, how the leopard, how the tiger looks really, which makes us understand their surviving. In years of experiences and research, Shahaz had tried to show us the black panther. Rarely we see, yes, you can see the picture. Black panther का उसने फोटो हम लोगों को रिप्रेजेंट किया, और वो फोटो उसने सिर्फ नेशनल जोग्राफी पे ही नहीं प्रेजेंट किया थ्रू वीडियो, बट ऑल्सो ही ट्राइड टू पुट फोर्थ ऑन ऑल द सोशल मीडिया नेटवर्क्स लाइक ट्विटर, Instagram, everywhere he had put forth, and in few days he got a very big fan following because of his great efforts done by Shahaz. Shahaz, if you would see, had really worked hard to present this wildlife through his photography. So in part 2 student, we are going to see, it's an extract from CN Traveller magazine published by Land Rover India about Shahaz Jung, a wildlife photographer. It explains the insight that he received during his photography in the wild jungle. वो वाइल्ड जंगल में जाके फोटोज़ लेके आना और नेशनल जोग्राफी को देना और उसके ऊपर मूवीज़ बनाना, स्पेशली सिनेमाटोग्राफी, इट मीन्स presenting the wildlife in his small documentary. It's a great effort by the Shahaz Jung. He has established, must remember, BCRTI. The full form of BCRTI is Buffer Conflict Resolution Trust of India. और उसमें क्या होता है पता है, वेयर ही ट्राई टू मेक्स अस अंडरस्टैंड a good relation between a man and a wildlife. Man, if you would see human being, they cut all the trees and jungles and try to survive in that जंगल्स. नॉर्मली क्या होता है, आपने न्यूज़ में भी सुना होगा कि ये एरिया में लेपर्ड दिखा, ये एरिया में पैंथर दिखा. तो एक्चुअली इसका रीज़न क्या है? डू यू नो? द रीज़न इज़ नॉट कि पैंथर हमारे रेसिडेंशियल एरिया में आ गया. नो, वी ह्यूमन बीइंग हैड टेकन these wild animals, their habitat, their house, we had captured and made our own house. So that's why these animals come, because they find that this was earlier one jungle which we had cut and established the residence. So BCRTI, this institution actually is working for the conservation of the forest and educating the people, especially the rural folk, that is the people, about providing them with sound reliable source of income. वहाँ के लोगों को वहीं पे रह के काम करवाना. टूरिज़्म, ऑफकोर्स जंगल है तो लोग देखने आएंगे, तो टूरिस्ट से पैसे कमाना, जंगल को सेव करना, जंगल के वाइल्ड एनिमल्स को सेव करना, उनका इम्पोर्टेंस रिप्रेजेंट करना. ऑल दिस थिंग्स BCRTI वर्क्स, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस if the jungle is saved, let's thank to these photographers like Shaz Jung, who played a very important role to make us understand that jungles are really very beautiful and it really saves our nature. And in this journey, Shaz learned a very valuable message that he tries to teach to our all 12th standard student, and that is art of patience. हमारे में patience नहीं है. Here the Shaz, in order to take one picture of Black Panther, he waited there for somewhere around 3 years. So this chapter also teaches us through Shaz Jung that we should have the patience. Of course, if we are having the patience, we are going to get success definitely. That here the part 2 suggests. So without wasting time, let's start about the writer and the chapter. 1.6 Into the Wild. This chapter, if you would see, part 1, it is written by Kiran Purandare. Kiran Purandare, if you would see, is a well-known wildlife activist from Maharashtra. He is known for his most liked book, and the name of the book is Sakha Nagazira, which took shape during his total 400 days long stay in the Maharashtra Ambazara jungle, where he tried to protect our environment in the year 2001. So let's see. Kiran Purandare, born in the year 1961, after completing BCom, he studied environmental studies at Jordan Hill College of Education in Scotland, where he had studied about environmental studies. He is a recipient of Sahitya Puraskar, Pune's Bhai Madhav Bagal Award, and Best Literature Award given by Cultural Department of Maharashtra State for his Sakha Nagazira. As I had taught you earlier, Sakha Nagazira is the book that he had written, and for that he had got the awards also. In the Sakha Nagazira, he had mentioned that how he had spent total 400 days inside Nagazira and nearby forest areas. That experiences he tried to put forth in this book, that is Sakha Nagazira, and wrote this book, and this book thus become a very famous and award winning book. This chapter, if you would see, that is the part 1, Into the Wild, Lost in the Jungle, is an excerpt from famous Marathi book Sakha Nagazira, written by Kiran Purandare. Excerpt meaning an extract taken from the book named Sakha Nagazira. He is a great wildlife expert. Of course, he is a great bird watcher, and must remember, he is a great writer and an honorary wildlife warden in Maharashtra. He was working as an honorary wildlife warden in Maharashtra, and thus he became a great bird watcher and of course wildlife expert. He is also founder of the Nisarg Ved organization, and Nisarg Ved, if you would see, is working, especially this organization is working for bird conservation, nature conservation, of course, which works for the nature conservation and community work around Nagazira. This place, if you would see, it is in Navgaon. There also a tiger reserve is there in Bandhara and Gondia districts of Yavatmal. He also founded कीकास बर्ड क्लब. अब कीकास देख के आपको कंफ्यूज होगा कि कीकास मीनिंग व्हाट. किरण पुरंदरे मस्ट रिमेंबर लविंगली कॉल्ड कीका. किरण पुरंदरे का निक नेम अगर आप देखो तो क्या था, कीका. तो उन्होंने एक बर्ड क्लब स्टार्ट किया एंड दैट इज कीकास बर्ड क्लब. ओके, इन ऑर्डर टू स्प्रेड अमंग द पीपल हाउ टू respect to the birds and especially bird farming, which is very popular among the school going children of Maharashtra. Is a very great admirer of the birds. Normally हम लोग birds को देख के उसको भगाने को try करते हैं, but this man tries to conserve the birds, their habitat, and make the people realize that birds play great efforts to conserve our environment. So this is about Kiran Purandare. So let's start part 1 of page number 56. Second para, if you would see, part 1, Lost in the Jungle. This chapter is a small excerpt. Yes, excerpt meaning I had taught you earlier, taken from a book. One extract, one passage is taken from a book named Sakha Nagazira of Kiran Purandare. Is an amazing experience of the writer where Kiran Purandare, the solitary traveler, solitary means alone traveler. किरण पुरंदरे एक अलोन ट्रैवलर है एंड ही वॉज ट्रैवलिंग इन द जंगल्स ऑफ नागजीरा एंड अम्बरजरा and he was exploring so many things, surviving there, knowing the wildlife. One day what had happened, he is completely lost in the jungles of Ambazara. उम्बजरा जंगल में वो completely lost हो गए. उम्बजरा जंगल में when he lost completely, he found that there is no way to go to the Pitazari village जहाँ पे वो रहते थे. And this incident he tries to put forth in his book named Sakha Nagazira. And this extract is also the part of it. He narrates how he lost his way at the fall of the dusk. Fall of the dusk means in the evening. As he was returning back to his village, Pitazari, in the middle, he found that he was totally lost. He don't know the way to go to the Pitazari village. He was in the jungles of Umbazara. Then it was really thrilling and terrifying and turmoil. It means he was really in a troublesome and he don't know how to cross this jungle. So that thrilling experience he tries to narrate in this part. He underwent thereafter and what are the hardships, what are the difficult situations that he had faced in between in order to cross Umbazara jungle, he tries to write in the part 1. Shouting for help would literally mean crying in the wilderness. It means this man Kirandare is saying that as he can't even shout also, वो shout भी नहीं कर सकता है in this wild jungle because there was nobody is there to help to the Kiran ji. मतलब कोई भी इंसान नहीं है जो उसको हेल्प करे. Everywhere he was only listening the voice of the wild animals. That's why he was very threatened and feared. He also gives a detailed description of how he found his way towards the Pitejari and after that how he controlled his emotion and tried to go one after the another, selecting the way and finally going to the Pitejari village where he was surviving there. That incident उन्होंने इसमें part 1 में लिखा है. Let's see the part 2. This extract has been extracted from CN Traveler magazine published by Land Rover India. It is about Shaz Jung, as I had taught in the introduction section. Known for his wildlife photography, this man, if you would see, Shaz Jung is a versatile personality. He had worked specially, you can see, in order to get the pictures of the wildlife. Normally हमने मोगली वगैरह सीरियल्स में देखा होगा, बगीरा एंड सम एनिमल्स को देखा होगा, बट रियली वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रेजेंटिंग on the television, on the National Geographic channels, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, the pictures that he shown, he became very popular. So he spent so many days in order to get the pictures of the Black Panther. He briefs us about his entry into the world of wildlife photography. He presented his way that how he came in this field of wildlife photography. Normally very less people is having the interest of going into the wildlife photography, but this man had chosen this field. The insight that he received during this journey regarding the loss of habitat of those heroes of the jungle and the genuine efforts that he took up by establishing BCRTI, all he had present in this part 2 section, that is tracking the panther of Nagarhole. So here you can see, in order to taking the pictures of the real life heroes of the jungle, who they are, that is lion, tiger, all their species, panthers and all, presenting in the pictures. He had taken lots of patience to get one picture of a panther that he had present through this passage. ये passage में ये बताया गया है. एंड ऑल्सो ही ट्राइज टू प्रेजेंट कि कैसे हमारे जंगल के जो हीरोज़ है, दैट इज टाइगर, लॉयंस, पैंथर, leopards, so many they are, but how day by day they are extinct, गायब हो रहे हैं, वो उसने उन्होंने प्रेजेंट किया है इन दिस एक्सट्रैक्ट. He also gives us information about BCRTI, I had taught you in introduction, and where he tries to put forth how to conserve our environment, especially the forest, by educating the rural people about what are their rights and what they have to do to take care of the forest को सिर्फ कट नहीं करना है, but also we have to conserve also. And Shaz Jung had taught to these rural people that how to conserve these jungles, especially our heroes of jungles, that is animals, how to conserve the animals, how to conserve the or take care of the forest that he had presented. And of course he taught the rural people that how to earn. रूरल में रहते हैं तो ऐसा नहीं कि हम अर्निंग नहीं कर सकते. यू कैन डू द अर्निंग बाय टूरिज्म. yes, we can earn a lot. So that he had provided them with a sound, reliable source of income. It means we can do the hard work, and he taught the rural audience that even there also we can earn a lot in jungles also. So that's the great efforts done by Shaz Jung. So you can see the first picture where Shaz Jung tried to put forth the picture of Black Panther, that is he named it as Saya. Second picture, if you would see, it is the picture of leopard. If you would see properly, there is one mark on his face, so that's why Shaz had kept that leopard name as Scarface. And the third picture, if you would see, it is of Black Panther, where we can understand while seeing the eyes of the Black Panther, which is green in color. So let's start summary of the chapter. Part 1, Lost in the Jungle, written by Kiran Purandare. In this topic, students, the writer Kiran Purandare gives a thrilling मतलब होता है excitement. You will be very excited, and at the end when you will know the story, you will feel pleasure also on account of his being lost in the jungle of Umbazara. This excerpt, it means ये एक पैसेज उन्होंने छोटा सा प्रेजेंट किया है फ्रॉम हिज बुक सखा नागजीरा. द राइटर हैड कम टू दिस प्लेस फॉर हिज रिसर्च टू ऑब्जर्व द बर्ड्स एंड नोट देयर बिहेवियर. मैंने पहले भी इंट्रोडक्शन में प्रॉपरली बताया दैट किरण पुरंदरे, इफ यू वुड सी, इज़ वेरी keen of wildlife, and of course he was a great bird watcher. So he had built a hide to observe. Of course आप डायरेक्ट जाके बर्ड्स का फोटो पिक्स क्लिक नहीं कर सकते हो, आपको हाइड होके ये सब काम करना पड़ेगा. सो ही बिल्ट अ हाइड टू ऑब्जर्व द बर्ड्स विदाउट बीइंग सीन. हाइड इन अ शेल्टर डिस्गाइज्ड बाय कवरिंग इट टू मेक इट ब्लेंड विद द सराउंडिंग. It is mostly used by the forest travelers and the wildlife researchers. जो भी वाइल्ड लाइफ रिसर्चर्स या फॉरेस्ट ट्रैवलर्स रहते हैं वो लोग यही काम करते हैं इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरस्टैंड द बिहेवियर ऑफ द एनिमल्स एंड द बर्ड्स. व्हाट दे डू, दे हाइड देमसेल्व्स एंड ट्राई टू पिक्चर, ट्राई टू मेक द वीडियो ऑफ दीज एनिमल्स. The writer had completed his day's work. तो उस दिन का काम उनका complete हो गया था. It was a tiresome. It means he was little bit tired also, and he had worked also the whole day in the jungle of Umbazara. 8.5 hour long day. 8.5 hour तक उन्होंने जंगल में he worked hard and he was of course hiding and doing all these things. He describes himself as being alone here as a fox. उन्होंने अपने आप को एक statement भी कहा कि that I was alone like a fox, because fox, if you would see, is a solitary means alone creature. The fox moves alone and he has to be alert every time. The writer was alone doing his research work in the forest. He took every precautions while moving in the jungle. In that dense forest, इट मीन्स उम्बरजरा के जंगल बहुत घने थे. टेकिंग एवरी स्टेप कॉशियसली, मतलब बहुत सोच समझ के चलना पड़ता है, बिकॉज देयर द वाइल्ड एनिमल्स आर ऑल्सो सर्वाइविंग, मस्ट रिमेंबर. ही वॉच्ड विद द वाइड आई ओपन एंड ट्राई टू मेक मिनिमल साउंड. इट मीन्स हम लोग जैसे जंगल में चलेंगे, ऑफकोर्स ड्राइड लीव्स तो रहेगा ही, तो अगर हमारा पैर ड्राई लीव्स पे चला जाता है तो देखो एक आवाज़ आती है. सो किरण जी वॉज सो कॉन्शियस, इतना ज़्यादा कॉन्शियस है, मैं अगर चलूँ तो मेरे पैर का भी आवाज़ नहीं होना चाहिए, इतना वो साइलेंटली ही वॉज मूविंग एंड क्रॉसिंग द जंगल ऑफ उम्बरजरा. ही ट्रेडेड मीन्स वॉक इन अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक कॉशियसली अमंग द लीव्स, ग्रास्पिंग वेरियस साउंड. जैसे सडनली he heard the langurs making alarm calls for the leopard. Cat 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 करके आप सुन सकते हो इस टाइप का आवाज़ होने लगा. सडनली लंगूर्स आवाज़ करने लगे और उनका आवाज़ जो था इट वॉज अलार्म कॉल था. एंड इट वॉज अलार्म कॉल फॉर वॉट, फॉर द लेपर्ड को बिग कैट भी बोलते हैं. इसके आने का एक लंगूर पूरे जंगल में बाकी के लंगूर को अलर्ट कर रहा था कि सी लेपर्ड इज कमिंग. लंगूर इज अ स्पीशीज ऑफ मंकी फाउंड इन द फॉरेस्ट. आपको पता होगा मंकी का एक स्पीशीज है लंगूर. He gives alarm calls after spotting dangerous animals like leopards. Apart from the langoor's alarm calls, the writer was also aware of the presence of a leopard when he saw the fresh scat lying on the trail with the bluish purple flies hovering over it. इतना ही नहीं, राइटर ने और भी कुछ देखा. राइटर ने क्या देखा कि रोड पे फ्रेश, आप देखोगे पुप जो रहते हैं ना, ड्रॉपिंग्स जो एनिमल करके जाते हैं, तो वो भी पड़ा हुआ था फ्रेश. तो उसको लगा और उसके ऊपर बहुत सारी फ्लाइज घूम रही थी. तो ये देख के यू कैन सी किरण पुरंदरे वॉज सो स्केयर्ड, बहुत डर गया कि अरे एनिमल तो यहीं पर है, वो भी लेपर्ड है, एंड लेपर्ड आर डेफिनेटली वेरी डेंजरस. ही ऑल्सो हर्ड द डिस्टेंट अलार्म कॉल्स ऑफ द 4 हॉर्न्ड एंटेलोप. एंटेलोप जो डियर होता है एक 4 हॉर्न्स का, वो भी ज़ोर ज़ोर से चिल्लाने, उसका भी अलार्म आ रहा था कि सम वाइल्ड एनिमल इज़ एंटरिंग, मतलब लेपर्ड इज़ एंटरिंग इनटू द जंगल. ही यूजेस द एक्सप्रेशन स्नैक्ट्रम और स्नैक्ट्रम मतलब क्या होता है, इट मीन्स अ होली प्लेस वेयर ओनली फ्यू आर अलाउड टू एंटर. अब किरण जी को लगने लगा कि शायद मैं जो लेपर्ड है इस वो जंगल उम्बरजरा का जो राजा जो है उसके डेन में उसके डेन में मैं घुस गया हूँ. It is the great mistake that I had done. The writer thinks that the leopard might have not liked his entry in the territory. Leopard जो यहाँ रहता है उसको शायद समझ गया है कि मैं इनके एरिया में आ चुका हूँ. He moved forward and fading alarm calls made him clear that the leopard had moved away. तो वो जल्दी जल्दी किरण पुरंदरे was trying to cross the उम्बरसरा जंगल, जहाँ से भी रोड मिल रहा है वहीं से वो क्रॉस कर रहा है. बट आफ्टर सम पीरियड ऑफ टाइम द वॉइस ऑफ द alarms made by the langurs or the antelope had started diminishing. कम होने लगा, धीरे धीरे फेड होने लगा, गायब होने लगा और थोड़ा रिलैक्स फील हुआ किरण पुरंदरे जी को. So later on, as Kiranji moved forward, he met one villager of Pittezari named Raju Skape, who was also very feared because of the leopard entrance. But as Kiranji and Raju met, they rested for few minutes under the kusum tree, and thus Raju had came in village to collect the wood logs. He went to the different direction and Kiran Purandare ji went to the another direction. But as the Kiran Purandare moved forward, Kiranji discovered that he had lost in the wide jungle, and it was almost evening time where there is totally darkness. Then Kiranji started, you can see, hearing the voice of the wild animals. Wild animals का आवाज़ सुन के किरण जी बहुत डर गए और रात का भी समय होते जा रहा था और कोई रास्ता दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहा था. Then Kiran ji started looking at the roads where he had found that the marks, बाइसाइकिल का मार्क्स उनको दिखाई पड़ता है और उसको पकड़ के वो एक जगह पहुंचते हैं जहाँ पे देयर वॉज वन hillocks means mountain was there. So nearby there was a small hillocks. There you can see Kiran ji tried to climb that small mountain. Hillocks means small पहाड़ जिसको बोलते हैं छोटा पहाड़, उस पर वो चढ़ जाते हैं. And there he had saw the villagers' voice coming, and what he had seen, it was the voice of the Pittezari village where one loudspeaker was been put up because of the one marriage was kept at the Pittezari village. Seeing this, seeing the voice of the villagers and especially that loudspeaker wide voice, Kiran ji was so happy that finally he had lost that way. He finally find out, okay, जो lost हो गया था वे उनको find out हुआ, and finally he tried to reach to the village of Pittezari after coming back from the wide lost jungle. After coming back, this man, that is Kiran Purandare, rested there, and at last he said, there still exists a jungle where we can get lost. Isn't this our good luck? So in this way he ended this small extract, and he even notices in the jungle that he had gone through a terrifying experience of having lost in the jungle. It made him realize certain things. Humans have tried to take over the natural habitats of the wildlife due to deforestation. It means cutting of the trees. There is barely any place left for humans to get lost in it. But the writer, that is Kiranji, experience of getting lost in the jungle without any sign of human life shows that there are some places still untouched by the humans. This realization made the writer feel that humans are lucky in a way. He finds positive from these experiences. That's the chapter all about. Let's start line by line explanation of the chapter. For your proper understanding, student, I had presented this through slide, and of course I had done one more important thing, that मैंने pictorial way में मतलब pictures के through इसी chapter को line by line explain किया है, so that you will understand it in a more proper way. So let's get started. Part 1, Lost in the Jungle, written by Kiran Purandare. The 8.5 hour long day inside hide आप देखोगे मैंने हार्ड वर्ड्स भी जो डिफ़िकल्ट वर्ड्स हैं आई हैड प्रेजेंट इन अ ब्रैकेट में मैंने उसके मीनिंग्स भी दे दिए हैं. सो आई थिंक इट इज़ ईजियर फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो लेट्स सी. हाइड मीन्स प्लेस बिल्ड टू लुक लाइक सराउंडिंग, मतलब एक जगह पे छुप के उन्होंने पूरे बर्ड्स का पिक्चर्स लिया. 8.5 आवर पूरा दिन वॉज फ्रूटफुल, बहुत ही यूजफुल था. एज जम्बा ट्री वी ऑल नो, it is present in the picture also. Standing tall on the edge of line or border of Umbazara, a jungle or forest. So you can see here jamba tree को two important thing यहाँ पे represent किया है. Jamba tree here firstly represent that a it's a fruit tree, and secondly the writer is saying that as I had spent 8.5 hours, it was very fruitful because today I had taken so many interesting pictures of the birds which you are going to find at the Umbazara jungle. So Umbazara के आप जंगल के एंडिंग में अगर आप देखोगे बॉर्डर पे तो बहुत अच्छे ट्रीज है और वहाँ पे बहुत सारे बर्ड्स दे सर्वाइव. बिफोर रैपिंग अप माई डे कंप्लीटिंग, रैपिंग अप मीन्स मेरा जैसे डे कंप्लीट हो गया 8.5 आवर कंप्लीट होने के बाद, एट दिस नेचुरल वाटर होल, मेरे बर्ड जहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो मेरा जो जहाँ पे मैं बैठ के 8.5 आवर काम कर रहा था, पिक्चर्स ले रहा था बर्ड्स के, वहाँ के सामने देयर वॉज अ वाटर होल. वाटर होल इट मीन्स यू कैन सी द पिक्चर जहाँ पे पानी भरा हुआ एक छोटा सा नाला टाइप है. आई टुक एंट्रीज ऑफ द एविफोना. एविफोना मीन्स बर्ड्स के डिफरेंट बर्ड्स स्पीशीज, दैट इज बर्ड्स ऑफ पर्टिकुलर रीजन आर कमिंग देयर एंड दे try to drink the water from that small you can see place, and thus the writer is able to click the pictures of these rare birds. In my field notes means notes recorded by the researchers in course of field research. Especially we know that the Kiran Purandare ji is a great wildlife expert and a bird watcher. So he is having the field note where every day whichever birds he see, that bird's speciality pictures he clicks and write about it. Next you can see, since I was alone because the writer was alone in this small hiding place, I rushed to Pitazari village where I was stationed. Station means जहाँ पे मुझे रुकाया गया था, an area where a person is assigned to work. Okay, मुझे पितेजारी विलेज में वहाँ पे रुकाया गया था, तो मैं आई वॉज टोटली अलोन. तो जैसे ही 8.5 आवर का टाइम कंप्लीट हो गया, मैं जल्दी से पितेजारी विलेज के लिए आई जस्ट मूव बिकॉज देयर आई हैव टू स्टे. वहाँ पे मैं पितेजारी विलेज में रहने खाने के लिए था, और बाकी टाइम आई यूज टू स्पेंड एवरी डे 8.5 आवर इन उम्बजरा जंगल. आई कॉमोफ्लॉज मीन्स डिस्गाइज द हाइड. जो मेरा हाइड जहाँ पे मैं छुपा हुआ था वो जगह को मैंने छुपा दिया लीव्स से, सो दैट नेक्स्ट डे व्हेन आई विल कम नो बडी इज एबल टू कम ओवर देयर. सो टुक माई इसेंशियल्स, इट मीन्स मेरा कैमरा था, मेरा टिफिन बॉक्स था, वॉट एवर आई वॉज हैविंग आई टेकन इट, केम आउट टू द हाइड एंड स्ट्रेच्ड टू माई हार्ट्स कंटेंट. इट मीन्स 8.5 आवर वो छोटे से जगह पे बैठ के, अगर यू आर सिटिंग एट वन प्लेस डेफिनेटली योर बॉडी वुड बी लाइक स्टिफ. तो बाहर आके उन्होंने अपने जितना हो सके उतना उन्होंने स्ट्रेच आउट किया. ही स्ट्रेचेस हिमसेल्फ टू हिज हार्ट कंटेंट सो दैट ही कैन एबल टू move forward. Okay, so I lifted my camera and then took the familiar trail means वो जो रास्ता था, the road from where I had came to from the Pitazari village, I really went back to the Pitazari village. Negotiating, it means moving the webbed leaves of teak wood and moha trees. First see the slide student. Teak wood leaves and moha trees, they are very greenery trees. Of course green trees are there, and you can see their small plants are also there. So Kiran Purandare ji was moving very silently by just moving these webbed leaves and teak wood and moha trees, trying to make minimum, it means very less sound, as I was trading means walking cautiously, means very carefully among the woods. मतलब वो देख सकते हो कैसे किरण जी वॉज मूविंग, और जो भी पत्ते हैं उनको धीरे से हटा के ही वॉज मूविंग, सो दैट नॉट अ सिंगल animals would know that Kiranji is passing from this way. Walking alone in a jungle needs more alertness than walking with a companion friend. If you are alone, of course you should be very alert whatever the things which are happening. So definitely whenever you are walking, you have to think that the voice should not come from your feet. And if you are with friends, of course you can see you more alert, but if you are alone, of course you require the more alertness. That I was alone here like a fox. The writer Kiranji is comparing himself with the fox. It's a very important statement. You can see why he is comparing himself from a fox. Fox, if you would see, is known for his cleverness. Okay, so you can see the writer is saying that as following the trail, as the writer जो रास्ता था वो ट्रेल मतलब रास्ता, वो रास्ता पकड़ के वो धीरे से जा रहे थे, जबकि रास्ते में बहुत ग्रीन प्लांट्स थे लाइक टीक वुड, मोहा ट्रीज, और वो लीव्स वाले प्लांट थे, पर वो लीव्स पे भी ऐसे चल रहे थे लाइक nobody would able to know. Silently he was moving, watching with the wide eyes open. It means he was very alert that not a single wild animal should come in his way. That's why he was very alert. My eyes were grasping. Grasping means grabbing. It means seeing each and every you can see movement which is happening in the jungle. A variety of sounds just when a familiar sound stunned or shocked me. Stunned matlab hota hai shocked. So you can see the writer was just very conscious while he was moving back to the पितसारी विलेज, बट जैसे वो आगे बढ़े उनको एक फैमिलियर वॉइस ही एबल टू हर्ड विच हैड शॉक टू द किरण पुरंदरे जी, एंड इट वॉज अ साउंड ऑफ अ मंकी. ख्याक 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 करके लंगूर वॉज मेकिंग द अलार्म कॉल, दैट इज द वार्निंग सिग्नल. The leader of the gang of the langur, you can see langurs, was sitting on the tall tree. दूर से वो tall tree पे बैठा हुआ था और वो वहाँ से जोर जोर से he was shouting, he was alarming, ख्याक ख्याक करके वो alarm करने लगा that there is fear of life. He is warning to all the other langurs in the jungle that come on, save your life, because in jungle the wild animal is coming in his way, alerting to everyone that danger is about to come. Rest of the langur brigade, jitne bhi small small langurs se, you can see how in the picture they started collecting, and just after collection they started according to the continued raising of the alarm calls. Abhi ek pehle chilla raha tha, after that all the langurs wherever they are they started collecting, and all of them are making the voices and alerting all the langurs that come on, get up and move forward. The network of the alarm calls was expanding and its range was as the petrified. Petrified, it means डर गया. Okay, who? Kiran ji was very scared when he had seen so many langus are in some time they are collected and they are just moving to the tree top. सारे लंगूर्स इकट्ठे होके ट्री टॉप पे जाने लगे. So the Kiran ji was very scared, बहुत डर गए. Langus speeded to the trees near and far and secured their places at the tree tops. All the langurs had went and जितने भी बड़े छोटे langurs थे सब वो आवाज़ अलार्म कॉल सुन के they all had occupied the tree top so that they are not become the predator of the wild animal. All this upheaval means sudden change. अचानक से you can see Kiran ji had seen the changes was created by only one animal's presence, and do you know who it is? It is none other than leopard. It means the leopard is about to come, and because of that all the animals are very alert. Many animals make an alarm calls, other animals also giving the alarm calls because there is a arrival of the predator. Predators means jungly जानवर, so they are tiger, leopard. Okay, the langur is most, but out of all the animals अगर आप देखो ना student, monkey especially the langur species is the most reliable when it comes to finding the clues about the presence of the apex. It means the top predator in the jungle. You can see weaker animals, जो छोटे animals या weak animals है उनको उन लोग alarm देते हैं that come on, just leave the place and move forward to the tree top and save your life. So this is very good and good about the langur. The mighty, powerful, elusive. Mighty means powerful, elusive means difficult to catch. और कौन है वो? नन अदर देन लेपर्ड ऑफ उम्बरज़रा. उम्बरज़रा जंगल के जो लेपर्ड्स हैं ना स्टूडेंट्स, दे आर वेरी पावरफुल एंड डिफिकल्ट टू कैच, एंड दिस लेपर्ड हैड फाइनली कम्स आउट फ्रॉम इट्स लैड. लैड मीन्स अपने डेन, अपने गुफा से बाहर निकला है. ही वॉज ऑन द प्रॉल. प्रॉल मीन्स मूव्स ऑफ द वाइल्ड एनिमल्स इन सर्च ऑफ द प्रे. इट मीन्स लेपर्ड अब आ गया है अपने प्रे. इट मीन्स वेटिंग फॉर हिज फूड. एनी एनिमल को वो खाने के लिए the leopard is all prepared. The stealthily, carefully that leopard is moving. You can see the students, leopard is covered with gold black cloak. जैसे मानो उन्होंने गोल्ड ब्लैक कलर का कोई चादर ओढ़ बैठा है, इस तरीके का लेपर्ड का बॉडी है. स्पाइड मीन्स notices by the langurs and they alarms to all the other animals that save your life. Even the same small ones from the legion, that is battalion or brigade of the langurs, were giving alarm calls. Check, check. The small langurs also giving the alertness to all the other animals. Battalion means उनका जो group था, brigade it means जो legion मतलब जितने भी langurs थे, they were all alerting to each and everyone that come on, save your life. They are alarming to everyone. I stayed put. It means stand out without moving. किरण जी भी ये देख के बहुत डर गए. किरण जी was very scared. Ghost. Ghost means saw the reaction of these langurs. Leader of that langurs target site and scanned the area visually. यू कैन सी द राइटर किरण जी अब ध्यान से देख रहे हैं. किसको देख रहे हैं? उन लंगूर्स के लीडर को. किरण जी वॉज अंडरस्टूड कि हाँ यहीं से लेपर्ड आने वाला है. फ्रॉम दिस डायरेक्शन द लेपर्ड इज गोइंग टू कम. सो द किरण जी वॉज सीइंग द डायरेक्शन शोन बाय द हेड लंगूर एंड स्कैंड द एरिया विजुअली. और फिर वहीं से वो देखने लगे कि अच्छा मतलब लंगूर अब आएगा तो इधर से ही आएगा, बिकॉज ऑल द लंगूर्स स्पेशली द हेड लंगूर इज अलर्टिंग फ्रॉम दिस डायरेक्शन. Then you can see Kiran ji started taking small steps or stopping again and seeing where the head langur is targeting the direction. So then the writer, as he moved forward, saw the fresh scat. Scat means what the animal droppings was lying on the road. It means on the trail, and on that bluish purple flies. Okay, bluish purple color ka flies. It was hovering. Hovering means lingering, moving. Okay, on that fresh poop. I was sure that the leopard was somewhere near. The writer was quite sure that it belongs to leopard, which was fresh poop that he had found. The distant alarm call of the four-horned antelope, antelope means deer, was adding to the chaos. Chaos means confusion. Continuously, not only langurs were shouting because of the arrival of the predator, that is the predator animal, that is the leopard, but also you can see four-horned leopards had also started shouting and giving the alarm that their predator, that is the leopard, is coming in the jungle. I barely walked around 15 meters and stopped. The writer was so confused that he just take one step and then move forward and see to the another animals. Their movement he tries to notices. I had apparently, it means evidently, entered in the sanctum sanctorum. It means private or secret place where few animals are allowed to stay. The writer had now started thinking कि मैं शायद जो लेपर्ड की जगह है, शायद आई हैड एंटर्ड इनटू द टेरिटरी ऑफ लेपर्ड. बट द बिग कैट वॉज नॉट विजिबल. अभी लेपर्ड दिखाई नहीं पड़ रहा था. इट इज़ एन इल्यूसिव. इट मीन्स डिफिकल्ट टू कैच दिस लेपर्ड. द साइन मतलब दूर से देखना बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा था कि कहाँ है लेपर्ड. द सराउंडिंग वॉज रिमाइंडिंग मी दैट आई वॉज अलोन टाइम एंड अगेन. यू कैन सी पहली बात तो शाम का वक्त हो गया है. Second, langurs and you can see other animals of the jungle started shouting of the arrival of the you can see big cat, leopard. और उससे भी ज़्यादा important कि this writer was all alone. Okay, so as it means Kiran ji moved forward on the trail. जैसे वो रास्ते से निकलते हैं पीतेजारी के लिए, the fading, it means dim, थोड़ा कम होने लगा आवाज़. किसका? langurs ka and antelopes ka. Alarm calls were heard in the background. It means very low voice were coming. It means ऐसा हो सकता है that leopard had came but had moved again to his own den. I could tell instinctively, it means from within, that the leopard had moved away. अब writer अपने आप को समझाने में लगा है that leopard had finally moved away. Meanwhile, I saw a man standing at a distance with a stick in his hand. Meanwhile, you can see the writer had seen that one man is standing और उसके हाथ में एक stick है. जैसे ही उसको देखा किरण जी को बहुत अच्छा लगा because writer was thinking that I was alone in the jungle. But as he had found that he approached, उसके पास जाता है the writer and appeared and but that person, that man who was seeing to the Kiran ji, he spooked. He appeared spooked. It means वो डर गया था, डरा हुआ था. Why? Because due to the alarm calls of the leopard. Leopard का जो alarm calls आ रहा था ना student, this man was very frightened, डर गया था. We greeted each other and finally the man said that I am Raju Skape from Pitezari village. So finally that man had said कि मैं भी पितेजारी village के लिए ही जा रहा हूँ. He had came to collect the logs. Logs means लकड़ी, कुछ एक लकड़ी इकट्ठा करने के लिए. He had came but retreated, pulled back due to the leopard's movement. But he stopped doing it because he came to know that in the jungle leopard is arrived. Raju was amazed at my regular solitary, it means lonely visit to Umbazara, the heaven, it means shelter or refuge for tigers, leopards and sloth bear. When the Kiranji talked with the Raju Skape was very shocked to know कि किरणजी डेली उम्बरजरा के जंगल में आते हैं और इतने टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं, एंड स्पेशली यू कैन सी सर्वाइविंग इन द मिड्स ऑफ tigers, leopards and sloth bear, which are very dangerous of Umbazara jungle. We stopped under a kusum tree. Finally, writer and the Raju Skape, they taken the small rest under the kusum tree to back, taken a break from their work, and then we both felt bit relaxed. हमको feel हुआ better under the kusum tree. Now we were four eyes, और अब वो लोग वापस से जंगल की तरफ निकल गए to the village where Raju Skape is still working in the jungle to collect the wood logs, and now you can see both of them is now together. मतलब Raju Skape and Kiran Purandare was now together. It means they were having the four eyes. Yes, they were having the four eyes, four hands with a stick. Okay, so it means Kiranji was feeling more comfortable as Raju was there. Then we both resumed and walking tour. It means now again they went towards their own journey. Let's solve up to their margin question answers. Look into the textbook, page number 56. Explain, I was alone here like a fox. So in explanation, quietly I had taught you. So the answer you can see in the slide, it is properly given. The writer describes himself as being alone here as a fox. The fox moves alone in the jungle and he has to be alert every time. Similarly, the writer was alone here in the Umbazara jungle. Yes, why he was here? Because for research work in the forest. He took every precaution while moving in the jungle, same as fox. In that dense, it means wild forest, taking every step cautiously, it means very conscious he was, alert he was like a fox. So that's why he compares, that is Kiranji compares himself with himself to a fox. Next question, if you would see page number 57, guess the meaning. Upheaval, I think in teaching I had taught properly, so the answer is sudden change. You can write over there in the margin. Next is predator. Predator means an animal that naturally preys on another animal. Okay. Third is hovering. Hovering I had told, it is lingering, moving. Okay. Normally आप देखोगे fresh poop के ऊपर flies were lingering, moving. Okay, next is antelope. Antelope I had said it's the deer like animal with the hollow horns. You can see the picture and can understand. One more question up to there that we had done is choose the correct option, and the question is spooked. Spooked का correct meaning आपको बताना है. 3 options are given. Let's see. First one is frightened, second happy, third is angry. And in teaching I had taught you the answer of spooked is frightened. यहाँ पे राजू जो है वो थोड़ा spooked हो गया था while the leopard had came into the jungle. So by this we come to the end of this lecture. The remaining explanation of the chapter 1.6 part 1 we will do in the next lecture, and margin question answers also it is not yet complete, that also we will do in the next lecture. Remaining, that is part 2. The part 2 is tracking the panther of Nagarhole. That summary and line by line explanation we will solve in the next lecture. So till then, read the chapter very carefully. Try to find out icebreaker questions and brainstorming questions by yourself. However, I am going to do it in my upcoming lecture, and enjoy learning. This is Garima Miss signing off. Stay home, stay safe.